Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, the capital of northern British Columbia. An absolute fabulous day out there. It's early spring, and it's an amazing country here. You must come and see it. It's the land of opportunity. And I have a special guest today. Her name is Kylie Lewis Holt.
Yes.
Kylie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've made it, John. I feel like I've made it being on the couch, in beautiful downtown, seeing everything. I feel
Nice
like I've
view.
made it.
And
Best view.
Tell me a little bit about your background. I know you. I know you somewhat from because you've been around town for quite a while.
Wow.
How long have you been here in the region?
I've been in Prince George now for 8 years.
Yeah.
We moved from New Brunswick. Moncton, New Brunswick to be exact. I left Toronto. I grew up in Toronto.
Okay.
And so I went to New Brunswick. That's where I got my cosmetology license, because you know me from the barber shop and just being round and about. And I met my husband, and his work was out here, and I came out here. I was like, it took him 6 years to convince me to come, and then I came and I was like, oh, I just want to stay for a short time because I have all these dreams.
Yeah. So your husband, what's his name?
Michael.
Michael. And you have a couple of kids?
I have 4 children.
4 children.
One is 19. He's in university, second year. Nathaniel.
Okay, is he in university at UNBC?
Yes. No, he's not. He's in Toronto.
In Toronto, okay.
Back home with the grandparents. And then the 12-year-old, that's Preston Holt. So he, 12 years old, plays football, does judo, competes. And then I have my only daughter, 10-year-old Madison.
Okay.
Right? And then I have an 8-year-old son, Carson. That's the youngest. The one that really made me jump into comedy,
Yeah. And we'll talk about that quite a bit too, because you have an interesting background. Now so in Prince George for 8 years, and then I know you have been involved as a barber. I don't know if it's called, because when I got to know you, you were at a man's barbershop.
So I'm a barber. Women, I have my full cosmetology license, but the men's side was very interesting to me, because with the chemicals and sensitive skin, bleaches and that was not really my bag. And I couldn't spend 3 hours with just one woman. I can't do it. No. It's hard for me to spend 24 hours with myself. Like I don't have 3 hours to invest. Women were very, I love us. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
But I can only handle, I see that in my daughter too. I'm like, wow, I really chose the right profession.
Yeah.
So just dealing with men, I tend to cut some women's hair here and there, but just a barber. And then hairstylist would be like, your hair colorists and the women that are invested 3 hours in.
Yeah, I used to always go to that barbershop, and you used to work the chair next to me, and I thought, oh my God, she's pretty. So I did. I'm being honest. So in any event, and then so the fella, I forgot his name now. That
Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, and he had the barbershop on 15th, and then he bought another building further into town.
Yes.
And then COVID came.
Yes, and COVID.
That changed everything.
It really did, because we were on 5th and Douglas at the time, and then he bought, because we were so busy at that time when I joined. There were up to 4 busy so 4 barbers in this town. Constantly going, we were going, and he saw the need, because the where we were, they were kind of expanding the traffic. So, and then COVID came, and it was like, I never really seen him like that, in the sense where that stress was there for a lot of business owners, right? You have people that work there with you, and you have to. It was just, and then taking on doing all this stuff.
It looked to me like he just put a lot of money in investing in the new shop,
Yes.
and then virtually and going from a very, very busy shop with an amazing reputation, as you said.
Yes, amazing.
You had to be lucky to go there, and if you were number 3,
That was
all the barbers were very, very good,
Yeah.
so, but it was so unfortunate, and it's a good example of what happened to COVID. It destroyed
It did. I
a
think
lot of
it
business.
was the mental as well, because when we got there, we were super busy. And
Yeah.
what was happening was he not only did he put, I think one of the most valuable things that Mike put into Claude's in moving was his time.
Right.
So, I mean, he would get to work at 8 o'clock, he would
Right.
work until 5,
Yeah.
then he would get to this new building and put that sweat equity
Exactly.
in until like 1, 2 o'clock, get up, be
Yeah.
there for, he was like, the one thing I'm grateful for in Prince George is meeting him,
Yeah.
right? Because you need those kind of people in your life, because I'm that way. I'm like, I'm more of a work, like I'll work and do it and do it and do it.
Exactly.
And because you have that idea in mind, and then whatever he had in sight, COVID was like, forget you, right? Kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like,
Yeah.
and that's
And still, although things are still
coming back. It's
yeah,
still-
coming back, but slowly, because COVID, in a way, the direct effects, you don't have to wear the mask now, unless it's optional, but still, the effect of COVID still is there physically to a lot of people.
Yes, it
but the
is.
other part of it is mentally, and the whole global supply chain and all the other things.
Everything, yes.
Everything is still kind of
It's
getting
kind of there. And
past there, right?
And I think what COVID taught me was that people are sometimes incapable of taking the world and leaving it in the world.
Right.
Right? Because when you were home, you were taking in like, oh, this is coming from this side,
Yeah.
this is what happened, and all these communities. So people are so susceptible to taking in that negative
Right.
wave that they still can't break out.
Yeah.
Right? You still can't. You have to be like, COVID, like they let me out, and I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm coming.
Yeah, and that's the right approach, right?
Yeah.
So, and you that kind of a person.
Yeah, I only have this much time to do like this many things.
Now, somehow, I read about Holland in your resume, and judo, and is there a connection of some sort there, or is your son is doing judo?
Yes, my 12-year-old. He's the judo guy, and so he went to Edmonton, and he placed 3rd for the internationals.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was kind of impressed, because he's usually like the light guy, but somehow out of all the kids, they'll surprise you, he became the football player and the judo competitor.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's it. And my daughter, funny story, I just saw you, I want to say about 2-3 weeks ago. We were on a flight together to Victoria.
Oh no.
Yes.
Where were you?
So my daughter was sitting, we were going to, you were sitting across from my daughter. I was in the first 2A. We were there, right? And here's the thing, talking about COVID. So my allergies start acting up, right? So I'm in front of you on this side, and I'm like, oh my God, that's John. Okay, I roll my turtleneck up because I was sneezing. Right? And you had your mask on. So I roll my turtleneck up and I'm sneezing. And my daughter, I was like, oh no, she has to sit. So we go to board, and I'm thinking about this. I'm like, oh my God, please, 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 please. And then there you are. And I'm like, I put my daughter next to you, and I sit in front, and I'm like, he's not going to see me. And I just have it.
Oh my God.
So that's why you didn't see me. I didn't say anything, because I was sneezing, and I was like, I don't want to say anything. I'm sneezing. It's like, still, like there's
But
people still
you
with
could have
masks.
said, "Hi, John. How you doing? I like your haircut."
No, I was like, please don't see me. Because when you're out now, like moving to Prince George, I found like now I know my allergy cycles, and I was like going to Victoria. I don't know what happened. I got into the airport and I started sneezing like
Have
a
you got
crazy person.
allergies?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, my wife
terrible
does too,
energy.
actually. For
Terrible.
these. Yeah.
And it was earlier this year than I expected, but I had a really good time, and
Yeah.
and she ended up winning in her sport. She's a cheerleader, so she's on the U18 in Prince George, and they won
What is she
provincial
doing?
cheerleading.
Oh,
Where they
cheerleading.
throw them up in the
Yeah,
air
yeah,
and not
yeah,
the
yeah.
pom pom.
Oh my God.
They won, her U18 team, being the youngest on the team at
Wow.
10. They won provincials. So Prince George, we won provincials.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, so your son is a brown belt judo.
He actually, no, he's green.
Is green?
He's green.
Yeah.
But he's a 66 kg fighter.
Yeah. So the interesting part is I also am a brown belt judo from Holland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you know so when before I came here, right up to when I was young, till I went into the Air Force, was drafted in the Air Force when I was 18, and right up to that time I was in judo. I did two sports, judo and soccer.
Oh,
in
so
Holland.
that was year 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I found that interesting. I always think of judo as very, very good sport, good physically, very important, and it's a team sport. Where is he? Is he with the club?
He's with PG Judo with Alin.
Yeah.
Sensei Alin. So they're right on 4th and Brunswick.
Yeah, we supported Tammy. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammy's a part of PG Judo as well.
Yeah, and she was a black belt, and in fact, I did even some judo with her, and we have a bit of a video where she's throwing me, and I'm kind of doing the judo thing with her, and so very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's such discipline though, right? Like, it's such discipline. It's hard because with my youngest, because all the kids did judo, even the oldest. And I really thought that my daughter would stick with it and the older one.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being my son, the 12-year-old, he was like, no, like this is it. They go because he was in Vancouver. He loves it. He was in Van and they're leaving to go in 2 weeks. Actually, next week, they're going to Victoria in Langford. Yeah. Right? So they're going to Victoria for that big competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're...
I was small then too, but it's not in size, it's not in strength. No. It's in fact using the other person's strength is what judo is all about. So it's very good for you. Talking a little bit more about you. You are a comedian.
I'm a
professionally.
Comedian. Professionally, because I get paid to do it.
So you took it on as a profession now, right?
I took it on as a profession. So I've always wanted to do comedy.
Right.
And this is why when coming to Prince George was not like even on the radar.
Right.
And when I came here, I started.
Michael was working here.
Yes, he was working here, but I didn't think that I would get the exposure and able to do what I wanted to do in comedy in Prince George. Boy, was I wrong. I moved to Prince George. I was in a movie. I got to open for Brent Butt doing comedy here in PG, getting out, making a name for myself that's recognizable in Vancouver right here. And so,
but how did you get to comedy?
So I've always wanted to do it. And when I was 18, before I was leaving Toronto, I ended up going to Yuck Yuck's open mic.
Yeah.
Right. And
for our guests, we have people watching from all over the world. Just to help them a little bit here is that Yuck Yuck was something where people out of the audience can come to the microphone.
Yes, an open mic, because Yuck Yucks is a professional comedy club, so you could see comedians there on a Saturday night.
Right.
They're responsible for a lot of Canadian careers as well, so Yuck Yucks is where the magic happens. So they were having an open mic. I didn't take the stage at all because I got nervous. And going away, having kids, when I came here, Prince George, we had our own... Sonar had, because we had a comedy club here, we had a Yuck Yucks here, and then another comedy club, and they were having funniest person with a day job.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta go do it. It's time. It's a sign. And I went out there, and I did my thing. And
but that going on stage and doing a presentation is one thing, and then the other one going up on stage and saying, hey guys, I'm gonna be funny. It's a whole different thing, right?
it's very different, but it's true to my character, right?
Yeah.
In being a barber, I'm talking to different people,
Yeah.
and I'm making them laugh. And I feel growing up in Toronto, living in New Brunswick, and now being here, I've formed this thing where I want people to laugh. I'm addicted to that energy.
Yeah.
So addicted.
You see, the way I look at you is and already when you were in the barber shop, you have self-confidence. You know,
Too much sometimes.
That's not a bad thing. So that allows you to go on stage and saying, you may be like I do. I'm a little bit nervous, and before I go, that's normal. That has to be that way.
Yes.
And but once you get on stage, you know it's gonna work for you.
You know, it's like free jumping. I love it. I love the feeling that I get. I love how authentic. I feel like I'm truer to myself on a stage than in real life. Like we put up these guards so you have that kind of acceptance. Like accept me. I'm calm. I'm cool. On stage, I'm like, we're laughing. Like whatever. This happens to me too. Like I'm married. We go through the same thing. Let's laugh about it. And I connect with them. That energy that I pull.
Yeah.
Like I'm addicted to women saying, you know what? My husband does the same thing, and I've been married for like 42 years. That's.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So you doing a lot of local ones in the region,
I'm
but
doing a lot
you
of
go
local.
beyond that?
I do go beyond that. I do get to make it out to Vancouver. I do get to go to Kelowna. When COVID hit, I was just about to start a tour with Big Dog Comedy out of Quesnel at the time.
Who is that?
Big Dog, that is Tom Bassett. He puts on. So in our now living in the north, we have this unique opportunity to put our own tours together.
Right.
So something called like a Legion tour would be something you would do, call up all the legions, line them up, and you would go and perform for all these small communities, like very grassroots.
Yeah.
And you just get to build on who you are, and you get to expose yourself. And then COVID hit and the tour was off.
Yeah.
And I was like, now I was just going to Vancouver, going to Kelowna, taking whatever they could give me, instead of being like, I'm gonna jump in and do this. And you know.
So it kind of stopped it for 2 years, really.
Yes,
right?
really. It
and
did.
Only just more recently, in the last 6 months or so, have you started coming back again?
Have we been able to, in the capacity, because you could do shows like a year ago, or you still had protocols like a lot, and you couldn't have this many people in the room. For any venue, they want numbers. Like I just did last weekend, I just did a comedy competition where with my company, I just did that. And then
your company name is?
My comedy name, Kylie Lewis Holt, but our company, Loudmouth Productions.
Okay.
So did just a big show, like just to bring out new comedians, and then I headlined on Saturday night. So that was a lot of fun.
Where was that?
That was at the Firm Lounge and Grill. So down in the basement, they have this New York feel. You got to get out there one night. If it's just got that New York feel, and you feel, it's about you. It's about the good old. The good old fashioned get out, be around people, have some wings.
the problem that I had, from the time that I was young, I didn't have self-confidence really until a long, long time for me, before, even when I already was supposedly, everybody said, oh, you're a successful businessman, and I didn't feel that I was successful. I thought I had failed, really. It was not anywhere near what it should have been. And then imagine this, then soon as there were more than 3 people inside my company, I had a difficult time interacting and communicating because I was so self-conscious and, and didn't have the self-confidence. And then what changed my life is, by pure coincidence, somebody, my ex-sister-in-law, dragged me to Toastmasters.
Oh.
And I said, No, I don't want to. What are you going to do there? Well, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing. They're not doing anything. You just sit there and you should go down there and look at what, you will maybe like it, but you don't have to say anything. You don't have to speak. And so reluctantly I went down, and then halfway during the meeting, somebody said to me, "And John, tell us a little bit about you." And I said, "Oh my God, so,
this is not what you promised."
No, and then I was never going to go back, and then I went back the following week, and then from there on, and I won 10 years from 1990 till 2000, and went through all the levels of Toastmaster and became a distinguished Toastmaster, which is a DTM.
Oh, wow.
That's the highest level in Toastmasters. Usually about less than 1% of Toastmasters around the world. There probably are about 380 Toastmasters in training around the world.
So can I ask you this? So did you find that as you start to get to a higher level, it got easier, or did it get a little bit harder for you? Because I know how I am now. I used to be the little girl that performed for all the neighbors. Like, I got the Whitney Houston on, always doing that. And now with comedy, I find I'm getting a little bit more nervous. Before I go. I think it's just more eyes, more people now.
The thing with Toastmasters, Kylie, is that it's meant for that particular purpose. It's very structured. Around Prince George, there are probably 6-7 Toastmaster clubs here. And all around the world, there are probably 380,000 Toastmasters that are part of a club in some form. And there are probably 3 million or so that have gone to Toastmasters, and less than 1% of them will get to the level of being a DTM. It's not necessary to be there, but I became, the reason that I mention it, that for me, I've seen many people that had anxiety about public speaking. They say they fear public speaking more than death.
Death, yes.
And I can see that to a certain extent. And so it took for me really a difficult time to get to the point, okay, I like it now, I want to do more of it. And I've seen many of them, and I probably was one of the worst examples that I've seen, and I've seen many of them in farming clubs. But so how it works is it gradually makes you more comfortable in a setting like that. It's structured like that.
It's okay. So it's not one of those things you put in the time, and then
It's very structured, and for those that are kind of thinking about it, Google it and go to Toastmasters. Very, very structured. It changed my life in terms of becoming, a good communicator, and there is nothing more important than being a good communicator.
Yeah.
And that's not only speaking, but also become a good listener, and and other elements of Toastmastering is conducting business meetings and how to structure the speeches on different topics, but also in terms of thinking and speaking on your feet on issues, and all of that teaches you in that kind of a setting. So I'm a big fan of it, and it made a major difference to me. And so that now, obviously, what I'm doing is we are doing here is we're doing podcasting, and we're probably one of the the most active ones in Western Canada, I would believe.
Oh, I believe that.
But the other thing that I do is I'm a professional speaker, and and go to different locations to do either keynotes or speaking on certain topics that I'm involved in.
Now you have me thinking about Toastmasters. I'm like, well, I think that would benefit like someone like me now, but I'm too hard-headed to go.
Well, you have that confidence. You are a good communicator. you know, and
not a
yeah.
good listener though. See, I say that's what my husband says to me. Usually, you know, they say it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm a chaotic energy.
Yeah. The you know, so for me, you know, it changed my life at the time that you know, because for me it was a real challenge, a problem in a sense.
No, I
I
get
didn't
it.
have confidence in myself,
Well,
not
with
even in all the
everything.
things that I was doing.
No, that's what I'm like in all the things. So then you hit it well, or did you think you were hiding it well, that you weren't
But
giving off what you
there are probably a
expected?
couple of things about it, Kylie, is that I was born in Holland
Okay.
in 1940, so it makes me 82, actually 82 and a half now. But
Oh, the level 8 of the game called
Yes.
life. You're on level 8.
yeah, I'm on level 8.
You're on level 8. I'm just on level 3. I'm going to level 4 in December. You're on level 8.
Yeah, so you know, in any event, so that was during the Second World War, and you know, I
Yeah.
still remember the liberation by the Canadians. I was born in northeastern Holland, and you know, and things were rough and tough, and you know, probably it was affected by PTSD, by the inner child, and a number of other things that, and then. The other part was that you know, I was not very good in school. I failed grade 3, and I don't know anybody that failed grade 3 really.
Oh, well, now.
And I failed grade 7 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And then you know, I started should get a professional, so I became a furniture maker when I was 14.
Okay.
And then, but I didn't feel good about it, because in Holland was that if you want to have a future and have a family and being able to support and want to be successful, they say, okay, what kind of diplomas do you have?
Yeah.
And I say, well, none.
These, always these. You had these.
But I always wanted to come to Canada.
Yeah.
And the Canadians liberated us, was the land of my heroes, and there was no question in my mind I would go to Canada. And then the other part was that my grandfather was a master carpenter, and my dad managed a small lumber mill.
Okay.
And you know, and lumber to me was something that was not only my hobby, I like to be involved in, but it's also my passion. And so my idea was I came to Canada with very little money, and then went to BC and then build my own lumber mill. And so that was in July 1965. I came. I knew that I wanted to go to BC.
Yeah.
Couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, didn't have a job. And I came off the train in Vancouver and went to the immigration office, and you know, and there was a German fellow, and unfortunately I could speak some German. I couldn't speak English. And so I told him what I wanted to do. He said, Prince George, go to Prince George. 1965, they're building mills and sawmills and pulp mills, and that's where the future is. So that's where I want. When I came off the bus, not all that far away from here, the bus station, the Greyhound bus station is still there.
Yeah.
I had a suitcase with 2 sets of clothes, 3 books, and I had $25.47 in my pocket. I counted it 3 times. But what I did have is attitude, passion, work ethic.
Work ethic.
And
That's I'm gonna have to get a tattoo of this now. Like, not the 2547, but the attitude, passion, work ethic. The gumption that you have to have at that, where you didn't understand, where you didn't speak the language.
No.
And you had that, and to build, you know, where you are. I feel like that's what I have, but I think that I'm gonna, you know, have a comedy club.
Right. So the other thing that happened to me is then, and again, it's interesting that we are sitting here in Prince George, that if we turn the clock back to 1965, then this was George Street here. And on a Friday night, Saturday night, you wouldn't want to walk down the street here because bodies keep flying out of with all beer parlors and lounges and all that. It got pretty rough from time to time, and but it has changed so much, right?
I know.
Although there are still some challenges. With,
There's still some, but you
Yeah.
can't. We can't we can't change the evolution that
Correct.
is PG.
Yeah.
Right.
So the other part that I did is that I was here already I was 57 at the time, and then I walked into a store, and I found a book in that store, and Books and Company is still there, right, on Third Avenue.
Yes, it
And I opened the book, and the book was Driven to Distractions. And I started reading, and it said ADHD, and I thought, oh my God, that's me. And I wrote it in the book. Now I finally know in Dutch who I am, and I was ashamed of it, and and then now I knew what had happened with grade 3 and grade 7
yeah.
and all the other things, and so it took me 5 years before I talked to my doc about it, who was a friend of mine, delivered our 2 daughters. So, and after I knew about it, because I thought, I was ashamed of it, and then went into the doc's office, and he said, hey John, why are you here? And I said, I think I got ADHD. So, and then we checked it out, and yeah, for sure I do,
Oh my.
Yeah.
All that time.
Yeah. But it gave, the problem was with me that I was not very good at school. I had so many things going on in my mind that I wasn't even there for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And but then much later, as you know, I started talking about it more and more, and then I wanted to do 2 things. The one thing that I wanted to do is I would want to write a book about it. The first book that I wrote
was this book. Yeah.
I'm actually a very good writer, considering grade 7 and grade 3, Against All Odds. And Against All Odds is not saying, hurrah, hurrah, John, but in spite of it all, talking the challenges, so, and you have this one already, but I'm going to give you another one, and I'm going to sign it for you.
Yes, you are.
and then the other one, then I felt I had to do another one, and then wrote a book about this one. It took me 80 years to live it, 20 years to think about it, 2 years to write it. If it's an autobiography, you can't write one and saying, I'm going to write another one. The first one had better be the right one. And so I'm quite happy with that. And then I always felt that the frequency of occurrence of ADHD is much higher than people had thought. There is not a day that goes by, Kylie, that I do not encounter people that say, I'm ADHD. I did a keynote presentation out west, and of the people there that talked to me after, and I talked about ADHD and other things in that presentation, and that suggested to me they were affected by it,
ADHD.
Or somebody in their circle was. And so what I say, this book deals with those issues, ADHD, but also with other people that are affected by trauma or are slow learners, and the book is written for that purpose, that you can open it up at any place and start reading and go back to it. The foreword is written by a good friend of mine, is one of the medical doctors and emergency surgeons, is Tracy Lotz, and ADHD.
Because I was gonna say, why does that name sound so familiar to me? Tracy Lotz. Is she here in town, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a medical doctor, has a medical clinic here, and then has been quite involved here for quite a number of years.
It's, you say that, and I think to myself, I used to think that I had ADHD as I got older, right? But what it was, I think it's this yearning to accomplish all these things.
Right.
And, being a mom and being pressed for that time.
Right.
I think there's an advantage to having ADHD, and there's an advantage to having all these because you don't know a stop wall, right? Like the mind is firing. So where I'm at for my comedy, my mind's like, you got to make it, you got to do this, you got to find the time, you got to take those tours, you got to put the time in. And that's what I think, all those firings. But you got to make dinner, you got to get the kids to this, you got to go to competition, you got to get the, like, you know, so yeah, here I am
I call it a superpower. I could not have done, but I did. We have about 10 different companies,
yes.
And then and all the other things that I do, writing books and doing podcasting and doing all the other things, I could not do it.
If you didn't have that superpower.
No, it's
exactly
that. Just today, when I stayed in Smithers before I did the presentation at Telqua, and stayed in the Prestige Hotel there, and then I was having dinner, and this one fella comes up to me and he says, he said, I'd like to talk to you, but you're having your dinner, and he said, I'll catch you after when you finish. And I said, okay, so, and then when I was done, I thought, well, I should just go see him. He's probably sitting there rather than walking out. And so I went up to him, and he said he had one of my books, this one, ADHD Unlocked. His son, 15 years old, ADHD, and was really, really struggling with it. And he said when he got this book, him and his son together read it and worked their way through it. And he said it made a huge difference in his life, and knowing that it is not, it's a benefit.
It is.
It's a superpower. And once you know about it and know what you can do with it, then it does amazing things. But at the same time, with ADHD is that when I had nearly finished, there was something there that, I said to my team, there's something here that's missing on that. And, and was kind of struggling with it, is saying, writing about ADHD, all the examples that I had, and then saying, okay, I read all the book now, what now? Or where do we go from here? That part was missing. So, and by coincidence, I, again on the flight from Victoria to Vancouver, I ran into a fella that I was sitting next to me, and on the plane. He said, do you remember me? I said, kind of, So he said, well, his name was Tom Bromer, and he is the vice president of academics at BCIT. And, and I said, oh my God, and then he told me they were working on something called micro-certification, and I said, and then told me a little bit about it, and then it's a small flight, and then he had to go.
Yeah.
And then the following week I saw him again. He was sitting in the front in that corner, and I was sitting in the other, and I said to him over the other people, he said, Tom, make sure you wait for me when you get off the plane. I need to talk to you. and so he waited for me at the gate, and then we talked more about micro-certification, which is basically saying in our teaching that we do, some people, in particular the ones that are slow learners or ADHD, have difficulty sitting in a structured setting for 4 years to learn a skill set. This one, micro-certification, would be you focus on the skill sets first and foremost, and then add to it what else you have to at a later time. There's a couple of things. A, it keeps the interest of somebody that is a slow learner or ADHD, and at the same time it creates skill sets that we so desperately need, and we can add to it later. So it could possibly change the educational system, in my opinion.
Wow, that would be, because it's difficult sometimes to keep your mind on it, what you need to do or what you have to accomplish in that time, because then you get bored and you move on. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. I think that's exciting to benefit that next generation of, like, superheroes.
Yeah, yeah, and what has happened is more and more people now, the stigma is gone from it. It's more accepted, or by and large, it's gone. It's not totally gone, but more and more. So, and I think that's very, very important.
I think it's important, or less and less people are getting diagnosed. No,
Yeah.
that's not a joke. I shouldn't joke like that, because that's what happens, right? We start to get so bogged down that you don't take the time to, like, you know, if you didn't seek help, I don't think you would always think that there was something and not know.
Yeah, and other people self-diagnose, you know, like for me, when I read the book, Driven to Distraction, and others that will read my book will say, that's me. There's no question about it. I don't need the diagnosis. It doesn't have to hang there. Basically saying that, yeah, I accept that, you know, that's probably me in some form or fashion, and apparently it's quite common, you know.
It is. It's super common, because you have to be that way. I think the reason I'm able to do half the things that I do, it's might be because of ADHD.
Yeah.
And for a fact, I can remember being younger and them wanting to give me Ritalin when I was younger, and my mom's like, no.
Oh.
The teacher was just suggesting that I get it. My mom's like, no. But then I started doing track, and then I had violin lessons, and then I had, I've been busy my whole life, so I've never been able to stop and like, okay.
Did you read this one, ADHD?
No, I didn't read this one.
Get you.
I bought this one, and you know what I bought the Against All Odds, because I didn't get one. So I'm taking these with the signature. You're signing the mug. I came to the podcast to leave with free things.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to give you this one right away, just because we're talking about it, and you know, because I want you to read it and see what you think about it, and but. I believe, you know, and I say that over and over again, you know, that it's a superpower. It makes the person special in the sense that it offers all those kind of opportunities and helps people understand themselves better.
I like, oh my goodness, I'm looking, I didn't even notice there was words on it. I was like, this is a good graphic. But it's actual phrase, adults, odds, intelligence, you know, like good.
So the other thing that I'm doing is we have another book coming out in July.
I'm making sure
and
you
I'm
sign
going to write
this one. Don't forget, because I know you might not. Yeah, let's.
So there's another book coming out, and that is Finding Your Passion, Living the Dream. And that's coming out in July.
Okay.
It's pretty much finished now, so where we get it to the point of making it what they call print ready, and it goes then to the printers and they spit it out, and you know, it should be in July. But there is a whole process about writing books.
And I really like this, because all your books, the themes seem to be very motivating, and you want to do that. Right now, these are the things that we have to be reading and doing.
I agree, you know, and then I want to do one book a year, and you know, so hopefully I'm going to be around for a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, you got to make it to level 10, right? That's the top level of the game. Level 10 is the top level.
I like it.
That's the game. You're on level 8. You're there.
Yeah, 82 and a half.
82 and a half. We'll say 82. Let's round down.
Yeah, round it up. You know, so the next one is the title is Living Young, Dying Old.
Oh my goodness.
So the whole idea there is that saying that age is just a number.
Oh, I've always said that.
Yeah, and so you agree with me. Like even at 82 and a half, I'm still competing. I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. You know, it was 2017, 2018 that I qualified for the locally second place bodybuilding, third physique. Then that placed me into the provincials, third physique, second bodybuilding. That qualified me for the nationals and for the Arnolds. Then obviously COVID came, and now I'm training again for. I probably start competing in November, and then hope to get to the Arnolds again.
Oh, that would be...
Yeah, then I would be 83.
83. You're just, see, that's what we need. I think that's what we need. You've given out this, that anybody can do anything. Here's the guy that came off the train with $25, 47 cents, and did all this, accomplished all this. Now you're writing books, and you're gonna, I know you're gonna make it to the Arnolds, right? Just like I know I'm gonna win a Juno, and I know,
no
like,
question.
there's no question. It's just like how we get there. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then same as the books. I started writing books 5 years ago. Well, I was 77 then.
But I feel like that's when you should be writing books. Like there's books, especially life things. Like everyone is an expert on something right now. And I've always done this. I've told my husband used to get upset with me because a lot of my friends back in New Brunswick were in their 60s. And I was 20 something having kids and working. And he's like, why? I was like, because I like to learn from other people's mistakes or other people's wisdom. Because I knew I had one friend, and God rest her soul, she passed away last year, so she would have just made it to level 7. And she it was really weird. She got bought out in her pension in her 50s, and then decided to like just spend all that money, nothing, not thinking that anything, and she had to work at the dollar store.
Right.
And I looked at her as someone, when I was 20, I was scared that I wouldn't have enough to retire. Now I have kids. I'm still scared I'm not going to have enough to retire. But what is retiring? Like in your position, if you're doing the things and adding the layers to what you love, there's no retirement.
People say to me, when are you going to retire? I say, well, I'm going to retire when I get old.
Yeah, whenever that is. Now you're living. You're living. And you've added every level to do that. And I see people, I'm like, and then she blew all her money and had to work at the dollar store.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could have added a layer. You could have invested in the heyday of it all.
Yeah.
But I like that you write books at this, because now there's all this wealth of knowledge. You're not just guesstimating like what it is. This is a life lived. This is a perspective gained. And these are the people that you should be reading the books. Like that's why I think that I'm a funny person, because it's like, okay, well, who wrote this? Oh, so this is on investment. How old is this person? Yeah, you went to university, but okay, you're only 30. Okay, I'll come back when you're like, when you've made a couple trillion.
That's what my wife says. It's age that makes them wiser.
It does. It's that experience. Is that lived? Well, you've lost money. Okay, you get it. You've had to scrape through. You know what I mean? You've lost an investment.
You see the book that Finding Your Passion.
Yeah.
Living the Dream. But basically what the book is about is saying that there are so many people, they say, I hate my job. I hate it.
But they still
say change, because what you do, you carry that with you in your family and all around you, because if you don't like what you're doing, forget it, so, and then find something different, even if it is later in life. That's interviewing about 10 different people in that book that have made those choices is the important part. Like for myself, although it's a challenge being in business right now, in the lumber business in particular, but every day when I go to work, I look forward going to work. I usually get up at 5:30. Always make my bed when I get up, and
that's the number one rule.
Yes.
You have to make my grandmother would like, get your bed made now. You're not going to
And then I kind of look back, it's probably my military time that did that, and then I go to work, and then I usually work at least 12 hours a day, even now, and and then
does
on
it
the
feel
weekends.
Like work? Does it feel like work when you do it?
Exactly. And that's the point, Kylie, right? And that's so important. That's why I say I have to write that book about finding your passion, living the dream. What do you want to do? Have a job and hate what you're doing? Should that be the title? Is that what you want to do?
Exactly.
No. And so hopefully it will become an inspiration for others that say, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, you're truly inspiring. Like I'm really enjoying this. I can't wait to get down to this one. I can't wait, because I feel like I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna be in this like aha, kind of mode, and
Yeah.
getting down. That's why I've chose to go all in and everything.
Yeah.
We get such a short amount of time,
Yeah.
right, to do all the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
And not only do, but to feel all the joy that this
Yeah.
life has to offer.
But even a person like yourself, you have 4 children,
Yes.
all in critical ages. Say for the 19-year-old is
So I'll be paying tuition for a long time.
yeah, but being able to then to still choosing your own career, you probably have a good partner with you and Michael,
Yes.
and because you can't do it alone.
No.
And
But I do, though, because he's gone a lot. So
Yeah.
let to throw him under the bus. No, he's he's incredible. He's
Yeah.
really good at that.
yeah. So it gives you the ability to do all these other things, and you will get to the Juno. There's no question about that.
That's the goal. Get
Yeah.
to the Juno, get the comedy, make sure people capitalize on everyone getting back outside, capitalize on bringing back the basic simple laughter. The what's the big deal of what
Exactly.
what's life like.
Put it in perspective.
Put it
right?
all into because life is so precious.
Yes.
Right? And not
Absolutely.
all of us make it to level 8.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't make it.
And a lot of people are so, I avoid the negative. That's why I say attitude. I don't want negative, so
No.
stay away from me.
Exactly.
Because if the glass is half full, it's always half full to me, not half empty. And if
Yeah.
it rains today and I want sunshine, I swear it will be sunshine
And
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
No
And
question
that's what
about
it is,
that.
because negativity is like when you hit a skunk with your car. The stink does not leave you no matter what you do. So
Exactly.
keep avoiding all the skunks.
Yeah.
That's a little tidbit from me. That's my knowledge to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You avoid the smell.
Exactly, and I like that, So
Yeah.
so as you kind of go forward, then you're gonna build on your career
I'm
as a
gonna build
comedian.
hardcore now.
Yeah,
This is the goal. Like after having the shows this weekend, I headlined in Mackenzie, so mama, I made it. We had another sold out show there. What a good group of people.
Yeah.
Then I was in Chetwynd, the beautiful Chetwynd. And so now the next show I have coming up will be in Vancouver on the 15th of
Right.
in Vancouver. So I'm like, I'm just gonna work at it and balance.
so part of Toastmastering is becoming an evaluator. So what you do in Toastmasters is that people go through projects, they work through a manual in the first levels, and to talk about a particular, whatever, and then the other Toastmasters evaluate them, and in a positive way. You did this well. How about this? Like
Comedians don't do that to you though.
no,
They're just like, you did terrible. I want to make all the money. No, don't hire her.
So the point that I was going to make is this one, is that if I look at you as an evaluator, in terms of, what you have is self-confidence,
Yes.
and you are a good communicator, a fast thinker, because you have to be, and because you never quite know what will happen, and and then how do you get ready? My question to you is for the next show. What I like to do is that if I did a presentation in Telqua, and I always say, my experience, 50% of the time there's something wrong with the technology. Either and it's not working properly, it's the wrong there, the wrong here. So I go out of my way to get a feel of the location. Where am I going to be? Where is the public? And then I like to know who they are. Not who they are, but are they younger, or what do they expecting from me? And so I do those kind of things. And then when I was in Telqa, so I had a fairly good idea what the setting would be the night before I went to the location, just to kind of look around. And then I see the lectern. I don't like a lectern because I like to be closer to the public. I like to be close to them. So I like to have a headset, not a microphone. That and then it has to work. So I want to always make sure that I try to avoid that. And then, and then I like to be able to know some of the people, at least have a general idea from me talking to them even before, coincidentally, because I will remember. I have a very good memory.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's another thing about ADHD. I'm a very good writer. I'm very good with numbers, especially the S with the 2 lines in it. I'm very good at that. And then the other one is that, once I read something, I usually remember quite well. Everybody always says, how come you've got such a good memory? I said, that's what you get when you're a grade 3 and you fail there, and the grade 7 you do 3. No, that kind of so, but
how do you that's how you have to see it. I can't. I'm more of because the confidence, I think I have too much of it. Like I always say to people, I'm a modest person. I'm not. The only thing I like for my preparation is I like to just go into it. And when I get on stage, it's this quick glimpse. I don't know. It's something that happens to me. I call it like it's like a crowd fog or haze, right? Like when I get on, I could sense where it's at, and it's like freeing to just be as surprised as they are and make them fall in love with me. The challenge is to get them to fall in love with me. In comedy, people are gonna let you say whatever if they love you. But if you go on there, for comedians where some struggle, if you go on there and you think highly of yourself, or if you have this thought like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do this is very Hollywood, people now will tear you apart. I go on there and I'm like, love me. Here's a smile. Love me. No, but I'm overconfident. So I never check that. But as I get big, as the shows get bigger, I'm going to have to do that, I think.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm liking this Toastmasters idea for myself.
So the reason that I do this with you is simply because we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm a public speaker, professional public speaker. Yeah. I go to venues. They may be in Ontario, they could be in the States someplace. I'm kind of anticipating what the setting will be. I know pretty much what I'm going to talk about. I know that there are certain things about me that attract people. Listen, and that is I have passion in all the things that I do.
Yes,
I'm not a deadbeat standing there and just kind of go, that I'm not. I live it.
I love it. You're like,
and with all the emotions that go with it, and all the other things, and then the other thing, one of the most important parts in public speaking, you know what it is?
No, I don't. Tell me. Don't.
Pause.
You did it, and I was like, tell me. I'm like,
yeah, that and it's very unique in a way, but it is, So being able to go out there and laying it out there and then staying. And then the other thing that I usually do is that if I'm I like to be free to a certain extent, but in some cases I have to speak from behind a lectern. And usually what I do when I walk up to the stage is I kind of make sure that my microphone is working well. I may have some props with me, like in this case I had a couple of books with me. I lay them out there, and then I usually stand there and I kind of I make eye contact virtually with because you can give somebody the feeling that you looked at them but you really didn't, but they felt like you did. It feels like you're talking to them, and then from there on in,
See, I'm shy.
And then you have them, right? So.
See, I'm shy beforehand. I'm learning so much from you from this, because I feel like that's something that I have to start doing, because that connection, you've done half the work before you even start. So I'm climbing a hill. I'm learning. I'm taking this in. Next time you see the show, it might be a little bit different, because I'm gonna be a little bit more social.
Well, next time you have a show and you have it in town here, then I'm gonna say, Kylie, I'm gonna evaluate you. So you and me afterwards will sit down and saying that in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be negative, you know.
No,
so
I know that.
So that is one part of Toastmastering.
Yeah, I'd be honored if you evaluated me.
Yeah.
I would be honored. I'm gonna have to swear less. No,
I'm not shy. I've heard it before, you know, because you know, when I first came here and I started, you know, I started piling lumber, and I couldn't speak the language. You know, I didn't, you know, because in grade 3 we didn't get English yet. Then in Holland. You know, for some reason or another. But in any event, then I thought everything that I was doing, whether you're working on the green chain, but everything that was, it always started with an F in front of it. The green chain. Or you know, so that was not a good habit to learn. So you know, but I kind of got better as I got along.
See, I want to get there. I want to get to where the comedy that I'm doing, because when you want to level up to doing corporate events, that's not kind of, so I have two sets of styles that I pull from. Like what I would necessarily do, and what I would do in Mackenzie, I wouldn't do at like when I did the foundation, when I'm doing something for a charity foundation,
or downtown
and I'm hosting something that I would do downtown Vancouver. But when I'm being my authentic self, which is like a late show, like I thrive in the late show world, right? But a late show, when you can be raw, you know, I found that I've not sworn, because the description of a story is a lot easier without it.
Yeah.
Isn't that just, it's such an odd thing that I've started to pick up in comedy. I had to step back, because a lot of comedians, they think, oh yeah, I'm gonna need a glass of wine. And I used to think that too, but I started performing completely like, no, I don't need a wine. I don't need any of that. I wanna feel these people. I want them to have a good time.
Yeah. And that is the key, right?
Yeah, when you feel them.
What I find is that the anxiety of saying, I will not find the words, I don't have that. I know the words will come to me.
Yes.
And then not to panic, you know, saying, you know, but then the use of pausing is very effective. You know.
It is, because then they laugh now. They laugh now. I like it.
Kylie, interesting conversation. I really enjoyed having you.
Yes,
be my guest, and I'll give you a hug right now. But we're all hooked up here, so
we're all hooked up.
I hope you enjoyed the ADHD Unlocked,
and the other one coming. Am I on the mailing list now?
You will. You're absolutely for sure. I'm gonna make sure. You're probably one of the first ones. Hey, did they just come in? Okay, call Kylie.
I would like to be on the waiting list. Thank you so
Kylie,
much.
my pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.